It's now my distinct honor and pleasure to request you, ladies and gentlemen, to be upstanding as we welcome His Excellency, our President, to speak to us by video link. Please be seated.
Great pleasure to join you today for the official opening of the 7th Annual Devolution Conference held here in this wonderful county of Makueni. I wish to thank the county government of Makueni and especially your governor, Dr. Kivutha Kibwana, for accepting to host this important event, but also to thank the people of Makueni for the very warm welcome they have extended to all our delegates from across our country, Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, this devolution conference has become a key platform through which both the national and county governments come together, reflect upon, evaluate, and benchmark their performance on policy and implementation, the legislative framework, accountability, but more importantly, service delivery. The conference also gives us an opportunity for the two levels of governments to demonstrate their commitment and to rededicate, to cooperate and to work together to achieve the dream of devolution. Ladies and gentlemen, of all the programs Kenya has implemented since independence to spur social economic development, devolution has had the deepest and most far-reaching impact on the lives of our citizens. Indeed, today, the devolution achievements and dividends are a visible reality in all parts of our country. Everywhere you go across the country, you find more empowered communities and note major improvements in infrastructural development, healthcare, and basic services and service delivery. In the last decade, we have come a very long way on the devolution journey, but it remains work in progress. To deliver on the promise of devolution to Kenyans, we need to build on the successes and to strengthen areas where progress has been slow. And in this regard, I would like to highlight two areas where I believe stronger cooperation and coordination between the national government and county governments could enable all of us to reap the devolution dividend much faster and indeed more effectively. The first of these is to build on the solid public finance management legal framework. We have to ensure that the distribution of resources between and within regions is more equitable and to focus more sharply on getting better value for the monies that we spend. The second is to work towards becoming a truly responsive government by promoting and increasing accountability at all levels and ensuring that citizens are actively engaged in decisions and actions that impact on their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, such an enhanced spirit of cooperation, coordination, interdependence, and support between and amongst ourselves has served us remarkably well since March of 2020, when COVID-19 first was reported here in Kenya. The two levels of government swiftly came together, and we forged a formidable alliance with our private sector our development partners, faith-based institutions, and we formulated a comprehensive action plan to win the war against the pandemic. And as these efforts included the nationwide vaccination campaign that we now continue, I have no doubt that we shall win this fight. This, fellow leaders, is the approach we should take to tackle new challenges, including our challenge to climate change, the theme of our conference this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, turning to this, the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, I am delighted to note that the conference theme focuses on climate change, specifically the multi-level governance for climate change. And I further note that the aim is to strengthen subnational governments for them to act on climate change through development of a more robust and focused execution of mitigation and adaptation strategies. Climate change, ladies and gentlemen, is not a future problem, but a present and serious threat to all our counties and to all nations of the world. Climate change poses an existential threat to Kenya, even though our role in precipitating the problem is negligible. We contribute less than 1% of the current greenhouse gas emissions, yet we are the recipients of the bulk of the problem. To understand the gravity of the climate change threat, let us for a moment consider these numbers. Globally, Kenya has been ranked as the 31st most vulnerable country to climate change. Climate change impacts leads to loss of about 3% of our gross domestic product annually. In the last 2 years, we have witnessed the worst locust outbreak in 25 years, which has left about 1 million people food insecure in the entire Horn of Africa region. The rising water levels of the Rift Valley lakes, Lake Victoria, and the Turkwell Gorge Dam have displaced nearly 400,000 people in 13 of our counties and affected biodiversity, including our flamingo population in Lake Nakuru. And as we meet today, about 2.5 million people in 23 counties are facing famine because of drought. So, ladies and gentlemen, recognizing that no single nation can alone manage the challenges of climate change, the world came together and established the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Kenya is a signatory to the UN Framework Convention and has participated and made significant contributions during the just concluded UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, the United Kingdom, which some of you present here today participated in. At the national level, my administration has adopted a comprehensive set of policies, rules, and procedures to address climate change. The effect, as you are all aware, has culminated in the development of the following key instruments. The first of these is the Climate Change Act 2016. The second, the National Drought Management Authority Act of 2016. The third is the National Climate Change Framework Policy of 2018. The fourth, the National Climate Finance Policy of 2018. The fifth, the National Climate Change Action Plan 2018 to 2022. Sixth, the National Adaptation Plan 2015 to 2030. And seventh, the Green Economy Strategy Implementation Plan 2016 to 2030. These policies are currently being mainstreamed through sectors in forestry, agriculture, water, energy, waste management, and health. It is important to underscore that since most of these functions are devolved under Schedule 4(2) of the Constitution, it is critical, therefore, that the two levels of government work closely together if we are to execute them effectively. This effort, ladies and gentlemen, reflects our resolve and Kenya's resolve, as well as desire, to play our part in the international community's effort to address climate change, including preventing global temperature rises above 1.5 degrees Celsius. Further, Kenya recently joined the Adaptation Action Coalition and the UN Call for Action on Adaptation and Resilience. By partnering with these two institutions, we are sending a clear political statement that Kenya will continue to work with other like-minded governments, institutions, businesses, and civil society to accelerate action, to moderate the negative impacts of climate change, facilitate adjustment to expected climate impacts, and to strengthen capacity to absorb and recover from climate change effects. I note with much appreciation that 33 county governments have developed county-specific laws on climate change, and that a few of them are providing strong leadership on this agenda. Allow me to cite the counties of Makueni, Wajir, Garissa, Isiolo, and Kitui, which have established policies and supporting legislation on climate change. They also have established the climate change units and put into operation a fund for climate change mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Climate Change Action Plan 2018-2022 spells out bold strategies that put us on a sustainable growth path. It further underscores the need for adaptation and enhanced climate change resilience for vulnerable groups, including women, youth, and persons living with disabilities, as well as marginalized communities. One of the key deliverables in the action plan is to increase our forest cover. This is in line with the Constitution and with respect to maintaining a clean and healthy environment for all. Action in this regard has already been taken, and within the very near future, we shall be launching our Forestry Action Plan that shall reveal and discuss the issues and what we have been able to achieve in this regard over the last 8 years. It is our obligation to ensure that our environment is protected and conserved, not just for us, but for the benefit of future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, our nation has a pioneering commanding lead in climate change action in the continent. For example, Kenya is a leader in the generation of renewable energy. We are ranked 5th globally on geothermal energy, where our potential stands in excess of 10,000 megawatts, while only 10% of this has been exploited to date. We are using innovative approaches to expand access to energy through off-grid solar power and other clean cooking energy sources, with the aim of delivering 100% clean cooking energy source by 2028. The Turkana wind farm is now fully operational with an output of about 310 megawatts of clean energy. Kenya has already outlawed the use, manufacture, and importation of single-use plastic bags as a way of protecting and conserving our environment. The two levels of government are investing on sustainable waste management projects to achieve a net zero plastic waste by the year 2030. Several counties, including Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, have started reclaiming green urban spaces. Nairobi has successfully reclaimed Michuki Memorial Park, the National Arboretum, the National City Park, and I also encourage other counties to explore similar opportunities to create urban spaces, urban green spaces for their population. Ladies and gentlemen, in implementing these policies and programs, we require sustainable and substantial financial resources. Kenya has committed to reduce her greenhouse gas emissions by 32% by the year 2030. This will cost us in an excess of 6,874 billion Kenya shillings, or 62 billion US dollars. Out of this figure, Kenya will seek to mobilize 13% of this from domestic sources, while we expect to fund the balance of 87% from external resources. We are indeed hopeful that, unlike previous conferences, the Glasgow Climate Change Conference, COP26, will deliver on funding commitments which we will attract into a green climate fund. We will seek to attract green investments such as electric border borders that we launched last week, and to tap into innovative financing such as blended financing to de-risk private investment. These investments will open new avenues for green manufacturing and clean job opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a strong policy and institutional framework for the two levels of government to work together to adopt and adapt to climate change and reduce the threat that it currently poses to our nation. Going forward, we need to strengthen collaboration and coordination on, amongst other things, first, leveraging on digital technologies to provide real-time climate-related data and information to our farmers and other stakeholders. Secondly, raising awareness and building capacity, especially on adaptation, with a particular focus on women, who are at the heart of our crop and livestock production, and who also are the most affected by the adverse climate change. The third is sharing information and good practice examples on mitigation and adaptation. Such examples include climate-resilient projects such as mangrove restoration in Ganzi at the coast, the Masui Rock Catchment, and the Gaindavia Sand Dam in Makueni County, and Kina Livestock Laboratory in Isiolo County. Development and implementation of county spatial plans with a climate change lens is also going to be critically as a last measure. As the chairman of the National Climate Change Council, I will personally remain in the forefront to ensure that our desire to achieve a low-carbon, resilient, and prosperous future is realized. And it is with these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, that it is now my distinct pleasure to declare this, the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, officially open, and to wish you every success and fruitful deliberations over the next few days. God bless Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Seventh and final annual devolution conference